Hello and welcome back to our unofficially titled podcast starring me, Yanni from Yanni's Nerdverse.
Emmet, isuperebba.
And Roman from Roman's Empire.
And we just come together every week and we talk about the latest nerd news, talk about our theories about what's going on in pop culture. And today we have two big things to talk about. One, all the craziness in the DC Universe news, and as well as the Game Awards, which literally just finished like 10 minutes ago. So we have a lot to talk about, and today we're going to start out with the DC stuff. So to recap for our viewers, Wonder Woman 3 was canceled. Um, a Batman Beyond movie was also canceled and scrapped by James Gunn. Henry Cavill could be out as Superman. Um, Aquaman might be recast because Jason Momoa might be playing Lobo. Am I missing any other big stuff that happened?
General confusion.
General confusion is
Yeah.
correct. Roman, why don't you kick us off because you just said something really interesting about what James Gunn wants to do with this new universe because they want to do something really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. James Gunn, I remember he was mentioning before that obviously we don't know his full plan. All of that's going to be revealed in the coming weeks. But he's taking a page out of basically Star Wars, like you said beforehand too, that he wants to have the whole TV, the whole movie universe all into one. He doesn't want these like different story arcs. I think he said that he's going to leave the Batman alone. But other than that, he doesn't want all of these different storylines. Like the Titans are its own thing, Doom Patrol's its own thing. We have all these the CW
Yeah,
universe.
which that also definitely
We have
is
the
dying too now. Yeah,
exactly we have the Joker universe. Like they can't have all these DC universes when Marvel has just the one. So that's if they're gonna gut the DCU, that's the direction that he's gonna take.
yeah, and I think it's interesting because I think he's gonna like streamline everything, but they're also still sticking to like the multiverse thing where they're like doing these independent stories, like you said, like Joker and the Batman, but more for the movies because like we're getting the Batman spin-offs, but those are because it's so popular. Like we're not gonna get a show in the Joker universe. Like they're gonna have the multiverse, but really they want to just make the all the universe very cohesive. So they're connecting the movies, the shows, and even mention the games too, which is like that's what like Star Wars has been like kicking butt since Disney acquired them, like that everything's interconnected, and Marvel doesn't even have that yet because Marvel has
Mhm.
Spider-Man PS4, which is an amazing game, but like none of it is connected, and any of the other games aren't either. So this is a big thing that like DC's doing that they're not necessarily copying from Marvel, and they're like trying to be their own thing too, which is seems very exciting to me.
Definitely. I'm really excited about it all, but a part of me is just a little worried because I think DC had something like really unique and cool when they had their universe stuff and then they made a Joker R-rated movie just completely disconnected. I don't know if it necessarily needed a sequel in its own universe or anything, but just at its core, I think it's cool to have one connected universe and then maybe throw in a movie about some random character you like or just mix it up just a little bit. I wish Marvel would do that a little bit too, honestly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and DC like in the past, I don't know if you guys know about the comics history, but DC is one who like created like the idea of the Elseworld stories, which are universes that are not meant to stay and they're not meant to be further developed, but they're meant to tell like singular stories and they're like off universes. And some of the most popular comics of DC universe are Elseworld stories. I mean, even recently people were talking about future no, not the future one. What was everyone talking about recently with the James Gunn tweeted out that photo?
Oh,
I can't believe I'm blanking on the
oh
name.
no, no,
It's
no! It's the
I
Superman, the
I
great,
know if you
the
literally
Kingdom Come,
asked
Kingdom
me
Come.
Kingdom Come, thank you. Like Kingdom Come is one of the most popular stories, and it's an Elseworld story. It's not like a main continuity thing. And obviously there's so many popular ones like Batman, Gotham by Gaslight. Like everyone knows that iconic look too and stuff. So that's like one of what DC has been always good at, and I think it's something the fans have always loved about DC too. Like recently in years that we have these random movies in different universes, and those have been actually the most popular. I mean, people love Joker, people love the Batman, people love the Dark Knight trilogy. Um, all those are also with Batman, so that might be another factor. But
True.
it shows because it also allows more creative storytelling because you're not tied down to any lore. And I think while I give a lot of props to Star Wars, they were in a pickle because they had so much writing, and especially with the Skywalkers, they couldn't branch out too creatively. But they created the High Republic, which I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with any of that, but it's an amazing I don't know, I'll call it like writing endeavor, where they're going back 200 years before the prequels, and it's honestly been my favorite like Star Wars content. Like the one of the
Oh wow.
novels, Rising Storm, might be my favorite like Star Wars thing ever. Like it is so well written, and it's
Damn.
because it like goes back to like original Jedi and what they mean, while also being like not tied down to anything. So having this all like super connected, it's great, but it definitely has its downsides, which I think that's why we all agree. Like we hope that that James Gunn doesn't completely eliminate the multiverse entirely, which I can't imagine he will fully, just because like characters like the Flash are so tied to the multiverse, and all of DC's big like crossovers deal with it. So maybe we'll see some development still, maybe we won't, but I mean I trust James Gunn, so he seems to know what he's doing.
100%.
And speaking of that, two big things. First, let's talk about Batman Beyond, and because that movie was just scrapped, because supposedly first it came out the Michael Keaton solo movie was happening, but then it's actually a Batman Beyond movie. Now I'm gonna save my hot take after you guys talk about how sad you are. But what do you but what are you guys' opinions on them canceling the Batman Beyond movie?
I honestly think that I think it's good, but I'm still a little upset because we were so close to getting Batman Beyond, and I think going back to the multiple like universes type thing, I feel like, if James Gunn's going to take a direction of having it all combined, we're not going to see a Batman Beyond in probably till we're like 40, Like when would they ever do that again in live action? So it makes me wonder, like, okay, what was the whole plans with this movie? Like it was going to be in the Michael Keaton verse, and all of that. And it's disappointing because Batman Beyond is one of my favorite animated shows when I was a kid. And while it doesn't seem like the right direction for DC as a whole, in my opinion, it would have been just really satisfying to see. But I do agree it shouldn't have happened just because the state of DC is in wreck. It's a wreck right now.
When the news first broke, it was just solo Michael Keaton Batman movie canceled, and I was like, "Oh, that's great! Like we don't need a solo. I'm sure everyone would love to see him back in his own movie, but like we don't really need that. Let's focus on the future. We got Robert Pattinson." And then the news came out that it was Batman Beyond, and I immediately took all that back, just because I would love to see Terry McGinnis in live action with an old Bruce Wayne. Like it would just be so cool to see, let alone Michael Keaton as that old Bruce Wayne. I think I haven't really been for this whole idea of putting him in the mainline DC universe unless it was specifically for Batman Beyond. I think that's a perfect role for him, but it's not happening anymore. I feel like there is a world where they could make it its own standalone thing, but that's clearly not the direction DC's headed right now, and I think that's totally fine. And I feel like there's a shot it could happen and once they got their stuff together. I wouldn't rule it out completely for the future, but it's fair enough. I get it.
Time for my soapbox where I completely say why everyone who wants it is wrong. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. But so my thought process with the whole thing is a couple of things. One, I think that Batman Beyond doesn't really work in a mainline story because the whole setup of it is that Bruce is old and mean, and that he has pushed away all his loved ones, and that he also has given up hope for Gotham. Like that's the whole basis, is that he has no one to take care of him. That's why the Bat family is around or patrolling Gotham. All this crazy messed up stuff happened. That's why there's no Robin or Nightwing too. And he gave up crime fighting and didn't try to find a successor because he felt ashamed of himself, and he also thought Gotham just got meaner and dirtier and darker to a point that he can't do anything. And that's why Terry McGinnis comes in, because he's a different Batman, and he's a Batman more suited for this futuristic world and this darker world. And that isn't really the universe of the DCU has. Mainly also because we don't know anything about Batman in general, is that he just has no development. That's my other part about that, is that you need to have a developed Batman to do Batman Beyond, I think. Because like the whole reason we love Batman Beyond 2 was because we had the Batman animated series was essentially a prequel to that. And we had all that growth and development, and you saw Batman, and you saw how he progressed to the point where he is in Batman Beyond. Um, Now, I do think it would make an amazing side story because I would love the Bat family. I think that the Bat family should be the main focus in the DCU because I think they haven't been given the spotlight and we need to see them. It is terrible that we haven't had an appropriate Robin, that we have an appropriate Batgirl, or even and Red Hood and Tim Drake and even Damian. I would love Damian now. There's so many aspects or even like Stephanie, Stephanie Brown, a lot of people. The Bat family is huge. So I think like if you do Batman Beyond, don't you kind of cross out the Bat family. So I think a standalone like multiverse story would be great, and you could even bring in I think like having an old Batman actor works really well for that story because they're all old now, and you have that nostalgia tied to it, and so you can have all that past movie stuff, and then you can do a quick flashback and something and show why he lost hope and everything. So like I know a common fan cast for director and stuff was I'm gonna butcher his name, the director of Blade Runner 2049, Denis Villeneuve, and like because he's great with futuristic stuff and he's an amazing director. Like I would have loved a spin-off side show where you like it focuses on Terry McGinnis and you have like an old like decrepit Batman and Terry show up because like you guys said, Terry is an amazing Batman. He's so fun, but he's also so different. And I feel like we can't have a different Batman without having a correct interpretation of a good Batman in the main universe. But that's my soapbox. So like I do think it's for the best because it's the same reason why I don't want Michael Keaton to be the main Batman is that I don't want any other like legacy character to take up the mantle because like even before all of this and before Gunn, the plan was for Superman to be dead, Batman to be old, and it was gonna be Supergirl and Batgirl can be the main like Superman and Bat character of the DC universe, and they're great characters. And I was really excited for Supergirl and also the Batgirl project, but like they don't fit unless you have the original characters too, and they're not just like copycat characters. Like Batgirl and Supergirl are very different than Superman and
sure.
Batman. So all that together is why I think it is. It is for the best and it's streamlined. And I do hope we get a Batman Beyond movie one day. And I'm very intrigued and I assume we were gonna get it eventually, but I think it's gonna be a little while. Yeah.
I think the way you described that made me a little more okay with it being canceled because the having a Batman that has like no real that isn't really fleshed out going through the Batman Beyond story in this universe made me remember it's different creatives now, but it would be the same studio that killed off Superman in his second appearance. And I feel like that's just something they can't handle well because they just rush to the stories people want to see without really setting the stones. And I'm a little more okay with it being canceled now. I can't lie. You've won me over.
Let's go. I'll get that as a win. Yeah, but
I think that's a good segue now into I know you're talking about the old creatives into the cancellation of Wonder Woman 3 just in general.
yeah. So this has been a huge thing, and this story has been changing. Like, if we record this yesterday, it would be completely different to what we'd be talking about right now because originally it was just canceled and Gal Gadot was out, and we're all panicking because that probably means Henry Cavill's out because he reportedly recorded a cameo for The Flash, but that wasn't in the most recent test screening. So that's a problem because it's supposedly because WB doesn't know if they want him as their Superman. So all that together, it spelled that the DCU was going to get a full hard reboot. But then James Gunn today tweeted that that's not necessarily the case and that everything isn't true, but everything isn't not true, and some things are kind of true. So essentially, we don't know what to believe. But as far as the Wonder Woman thing, to clear everything up, Patty Jenkins turned in a script. It was supposedly not very good. And the WB did not. James Gunn and Peter Safran, I think is the name.
Safran,
thank you. Both did not like the script, and they wanted her to rewrite it or come up with a brand new script. She got very angry and said some stuff about character arcs, and she even wrote like a nasty email in the most savage way at the very end, linking a Wikipedia page to the description of what a character arc is. So saying that she was probably very insulted that they didn't like her film, which love the first one, hate the second one, so it could have gone either way. But it also now does seem that WB still wants to keep Gal Gadot, and if they're keeping Gal Gadot, we know that Batman's up in the air, but with Superman, with Black Adam, it's not a for sure thing that he's not going to be in the future of the DCU. So everything is still up in the air. Nothing I think is set in stone. But all we know right now that is canceled is Wonder Woman. And so my question to you guys is, do you think the DCU should have a hard reboot, or do you think that it should... What do you guys think it should do? Because like for me, aside from Henry Cavill Superman, I don't feel... And also Blue Beetle, because I imagine the movie's going to be amazing. And Shazam. Never mind, I'm changing my mind halfway through this. I love half the castings in the universe, but some I'm okay with like recasting. So I wouldn't mind if it was new versions of the characters, but I hope that they keep the castings at least, because I do think it's such a mess right now with the universe that there's all this past groundwork that no one wants to touch, and that doesn't set up to anything that we're going in the future. So I feel like a hard reboot with similar actors, if not the same ones, would be the only way to go.
I 100% agree. I think they should keep Henry Cavill Superman. They should keep Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, keep all the Suicide Squad stuff like Peacemaker, keep all that, keep Shazam. And like I think it's okay if they reboot the characters themselves in this new universe if they do that. Like new origin stories, sure. New characterizations, just keep those actors. They've done good. They deserve to see this new world.
Yeah, I think a couple things. I agree with like the kind of a hard reset, but with the same actors. I can't see James Gunn getting rid of any of his Suicide Squad characters at all. I feel like he'd be really torn. Like this would be a really hard decision for him, and I think that, in my opinion, that would be why he decides to do what he does is because of the Suicide Squad. Because those are that's his like pride and joy in the DC. But other than that, like actors obviously like Henry Cavill, you don't want to get rid of Blue Beetle. You don't like he hasn't even showed up yet.
I don't want to interrupt, but can we also acknowledge how insane the hype for that movie has been? Like, look, I love Blue Beetle. Mm-hmm. I'm so hyped. But it's been trending insanely well. Like, Blue Beetle is not a popular character. Like, popular in the sense of, like, in the general audience. Mm-hmm. But the reception's been insane. I can't believe it. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that before while you go on. Because I do think the Blue Beetle movie is going to be huge for DC.
Yeah, and going into that, I think that a good kind of fan theory that people were saying is that Blue Beetle would be the best place to like kind of hard reset if they want to, by at the end of it have Blue Beetle meet the Justice League, or like have a kind of like after credits of like the Justice League wants to see you kind of thing, because he does end up working with those people, but he's still a kid, so we'll see what they do with that. But I know Aquaman comes after Blue Beetle in the timeline, like in the release order. So Jason Momoa wanting to be Lobo, and it looks like James Gunn wants him to be Lobo.
And we know also something Lobo is happening, because Momoa, like, in an interview was like, yeah, I collect all Lobo comics, some good stuff is coming. So, like, if he's playing Lobo, that's first of all hilarious that, like, he's just dropping Aquaman. Like, the movie that made $1 billion, one of DC's most popular monetarily, he's like, nah, I want to play Lobo. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but hard reset. I agree. Just keep the actors though. Unless Momoa doesn't want to be Aquaman, you could recast Aquaman. I guess that's fine.
Yeah. And it was funny because you mentioned actors. I just want to say really quickly, James Gunn loves the actors he works with. Like I think more than most directors, you see how passionate he is about the people he works with and how much he truly cares about them and just makes a really nice environment for them. I don't think he would want to discard anyone because he finds talented people and he treats them well, and he just makes good movies with them. So I agree. I don't think he would recast any like he loves Margot Robbie. He loves John Cena, Idris Elba, like everyone in the Suicide Squad too. Like I don't think any of those people are going away anytime soon. But yeah, sorry, I
100%.
didn't mean to
Oh
interrupt.
no, you're fine. I was just gonna go back to the Blue Beetle thing. I think that's what Roman said is like perfect. I think
Yeah.
have Blue Beetle movies coming out somewhat soon. Have it kind of be this introduction. Maybe get rid of any references that are like specifically this current DC universe. Like I don't know if he throws out something about how Superman died or something like that, and then
Mhm.
just because I think, in my opinion, this new universe, I think the Justice League should already be formed. I don't think we need like another origin story. And I think that's a perfect way to do it because he's new to this whole world, will be new to this whole world. We could see it through his eyes. And all of a sudden, we're surprised to see this crazy, fully fledged out DC universe already here. And then we kind of go into it in the future. But like you pointed out with the release dates, it gets a little bit tricky because Aquaman comes out
Not to
that
mention the
December as of right
Flash
now.
is
The
in
Flash comes out
the
before.
Flash. I feel so bad because it is just the biggest mess behind the scenes and the biggest mess plot wise because this really was a Flashpoint movie and they put so much money into it and they can't not release it. Like they can't do a back row because they can't get that much money back on taxes to make it profitable. Like there's no way, and you have to release it because also it's getting amazing reception in test audiences, which I'm really excited for. Because like Ezra Miller being who he is in the public, I do like his how he portrays the character, and he's supposedly amazing in this movie. So I'm really excited for this film. It just sucks because it supposedly sets up a universe, and it's gonna be so annoying for the general public because I hate to say it, but the general public is dumb. They're not they don't understand how it's crazy to me. Like my sister like a year ago was still thought that like some of the Spider-Mans were the same character and in the same universe. And like no, it doesn't even make sense. Like the audience and it's not and I say dumb to be funny, but like it's just the general audience doesn't think about it like that. But if you give them something that's gonna confuse them, oh you're screwed. So if you have a movie that resets the universe and then you reset it again right after, that's not gonna go over well. So like they have no choice but to release the Flash, but that's gonna be so confusing for the universe.
I think it's probably too late at this point, but I wouldn't be super shocked if we got news that Aquaman and the Flash were going to switch spots. And because Aquaman was supposed to come out this month, and then it was supposed to come out in only a couple months, and I don't know why it got pushed back so much, but rumor has it that the Batman stuff is completely gone now. So
Yes, I forgot about
really
that.
you could kind of just I mean, I don't know, there's probably a lot of stuff that still has to be done, but and it would make more sense for the Flash to have that time to reshoot and do whatever they have to do to maybe set up this new DC universe in a better way because who knows how that's going to end.
And I
Yeah,
think
because
no.
oh, I was going to say, don't you think the Flash is going to end with the recasting of the Flash? Like, like it's going to end with showing him, and
Michael
he's
Keaton.
not going to be Ezra Miller
Oh
anymore.
no,
It's going to be
recasting the
someone
Flash.
else.
Oh, well, that's the other
Yeah.
thing. My unpopular opinion is I think people really like. I think if the movie's a success, they're not gonna recast Ezra. I
I
Mm-hmm.
don't disagree with that.
yeah, I because you show him the money and he's been out of the headlines for a while enough. People forget easily, and I mean, we're all on Twitter and Twitter's loud, but
For
the
sure.
box office speaks louder than Twitter.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I really wouldn't be surprised, especially if he says he's getting help like he did, or I mean they did, and all that. Like I would not be surprised if they keep Ezra. Um,
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to sound like an Ezra Miller defender or anything because I'm definitely not that. I don't even like their interpretation of the Flash, but I feel like a, a lot of us are kind of in like this echo chamber when it comes to them. Especially, I don't know. I a couple articles came out a couple months ago, and like the headline is like the craziest thing you've
yeah,
ever read, and then the first paragraph is like That's not exactly what's happening, but
We
basically,
have no
and it's
confirmation on
yeah,
this.
yeah,
This is from
exactly.
a random anonymous source that called in. Like it's
Exactly. So I feel like if Warner Bros. Really wanted to go that like rehabilitation route, it wouldn't be the hardest thing for them to do at this point.
yeah,
As long as everything within the next couple months,
yeah.
there's no murders or
I
anything.
know, literally. Like my
Oh
friend is like,
boy.
he like the next headline's definitely gonna be homicide, and it's which it's funny to think about it. It's just really like crazy, but like it's funny that like if that happened, I feel like no one would be shocked just because of how
Yeah.
crazy the headlines have been. And like I remember like one of the he was like possibly like if sentenced guilty in court, like going to prison for 20 years. I was like,
Oh
what?
yeah.
I don't even remember hearing anything else after that, but yeah. So I think Ezra isn't necessarily out of the Flash, but because of recasts, because I feel bad for Momoa because he was really excited about Ben Affleck being back. He said in like an interview, and then Ben Affleck came back and recorded scenes as Batman for them, and those scenes are gone now because it's all so messy. And I don't want to talk about leaks because like I'll be honest for the Flash, I've been keeping up with like I'd say a couple of leaks. I didn't read like the huge like plot supposedly thing on Reddit that I don't know if it's confirmed true or not. But there was like some stuff about what the resetting actually means for Ben Affleck's Batman and not, um, and how he could like return in the future and stuff like that. So I don't know if any of that stuff is going to be actually true. Um, and I doubt any of it is gonna be relevant now because of James Gunn. Because yeah, and like at that point, like I think this year is gonna be such a strange year because I think DC is gonna hit everyone. I think Shazam 2 is gonna be amazing because I love the first one. I think the Flash is gonna be good based on test screenings. Just everyone's sung nothing but high praise. I think Blue Beetle is gonna be amazing because Blue Beetle and all there's the directors are so passionate. It is I love hearing interviews about them talk about the movie, and frankly everyone in the cast, and also Aquaman 2. I rewatched it the other like not the other day, a couple months ago. I love Aquaman. Like that movie's great. Like the VFX is also great. The great action. Like the story is nothing amazing, but it's a solid movie, and I'm really excited because this new scope is supposed to be like crazy and darker and more intense. And I love all the concept art, so I think that DC is gonna win with everything this year, all their movies. But again, like it's gonna be interesting how the public deals with it. If now that the public might be back on the DC train because they've been gaining a little more like of their popularity, it's gonna be hard to get them back again when you reset everything. So I'm really excited to hear James Gunn's plan. I think that's pretty much how we all
Definitely.
feel.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't want to sound like too much of a pessimist here, but everything you just said about like how next year's the year for DC, a year ago we were saying those exact same movies for 2022 and that it was going to be the year of DC. So I'm
oh
just like a little I think Shazam 2 is fine.
yeah,
It's coming up so soon, but with everything moving
Mhm.
around, like I'm a little worried that, some stuff is going to get I feel like everything's got to be fine at this point,
yeah.
but there's just this
Mhm.
DC fan inside of me constantly screaming that everything's gonna get pushed back.
The only reason why I think it won't be pushed back is because I think it's dead weight on them, and they're like, we got to get these
True.
out because of this new plan. Because I think
Mhm.
they
True.
said 2024 is when they want to hit the ground running. So I wouldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
which I don't know how quickly you can get a script ready and stuff like that or tweak things, but um, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. But again, like if they do also need to stall for time, I could see them delaying Aquaman a couple months, and
Yeah.
hopefully not Blue Beetle, but but we'll see. Especially because they won't have anything else to stall for time, and they don't want to
True.
be that long without any DC project because like the thought of the Batman sequel isn't going to be enough to keep people enticed. I
True.
do want to get to the Game Awards, but I do want to bring up really quickly because people were talking about it. How would you feel if the DCU was instead started in the Batman universe and like not exactly touched, but just they slowly built it up from there? What do you guys think?
I This might be a hot take because I don't know. I see a lot of people on both sides of this argument. I am so for that. I am
Yes, let's go. High
so
five.
so down for that. I think that's perfect. I think let Matt Reeves cook. Let him do his thing. His
One of my
trilogy,
favorite
all of his
memes.
spin-offs. Keep that separate for as long as you can. but there's no need, there's no reason if they're doing a soft reboot to make a third universe now. You got this Batman universe. Everyone loves it so far. You don't need Superman to save the day in the Batman 2 to have it be a connected universe. And I think it's perfect. I could understand if Robert Pattinson and like Matt Reeves aren't thrilled about the idea because they're trying to build this grounded universe. But I mean, you have a Clayface show coming out eventually. It seems like they're ready to tackle these more, mystical elements, and it doesn't mean you need the Justice League to pop up to save the day in every Batman story.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great.
I have a lot of thoughts, so I'm gonna let Roman go first because then I'm gonna monopolize the
No.
conversation. I'm such a DC fanboy, so I gotta rein myself in.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I'm for it. I think Robert Pattinson is in my opinion, I don't know if this is a hot take. It might be. I think he's the best Batman we've ever seen in live action ever, like
Agree.
hands down. And he's only had one movie, so it's gonna be amazing to see what Matt Reeves can do with his character already. And if you have a Batman that good, you know, you have a supporting cast that's already good. Good Catwoman. You have the Penguin. Like you said, Clayface show. Eventually, characters like Harvey Dent are going to show up. We have Joker. We have these people that exist in this universe. The Batman is already self-contained in itself. Like Batman and his rogues, his characters. You can build up a Robin eventually and all of that. Why not just put the rest of the Justice League in that same universe? Like you said, Superman doesn't have to come in to save the day. He's in Metropolis doing his own stuff. Wonder Woman's doing her own stuff. The Flash is doing his own stuff. They're all doing their own thing. Then eventually, if Matt Reeves wanted, I know right now that's not his plan, but if he's kind of looking to retire the single movies for Batman, maybe retire from making like all of the shows, he's done enough of the groundwork. Throw Robert Pattinson in with the Justice League. I guarantee he'd be okay doing that because it seems like he has a lot of love for Batman as a whole. And that's what I have to say about that.
I don't know if it would impact him too much, but Matt Reeves might be more open to the idea of a shared universe under James Gunn than the former Warner Bros. Heads. I don't know if that has too much of an effect on him, but
No, I agree with that. I agree.
So I'm gonna bring up. Do you guys know about the story DC: The New Frontier? Have you ever heard of that or the animated one?
A little
So
bit.
in
A little
it,
bit.
Batman is very grounded, and it's supposed to be a story of like an older like Bronze Age Justice League, and it's actually written by Darwin Cook, who also wrote Batman Ego, who Matt Reeves like based the Batman off of. So there's some little connected writing in there. So I think if he does want to write the Batman as grounded for at least his trilogy or whatever he'll be doing, I think there is a way to do the Justice League and do that. Also, though, like I think the Clayface thing will be. I hope we hear about news soon because that's gonna show me, I think, or us how Matt Reeves wants to go in the future because like he always talked about how he grounded the Batman to be like in like year one was, but as time goes on in the comics, and even in the year one and year two, like Dark Victory like universe, it does slowly get more methodical. Like it's not just like realistic. So I think there is a natural evolution, but I heard a theory, and I actually read some of the. There's like only 2 books, but Clayface actually originally was just a serial killer, and when I read that, and I read the 2 issues, they were like fun issues, but I really hope that they actually make Clayface the big clay monster, because if he doesn't, that makes me nervous. But
that's my biggest fear.
biggest fear. But I agree with everything you guys said. I think that I love the Batman. I love Robert Pattinson as Batman. I think that there is definitely a way to make Matt Reeves happy and also start fresh with this universe. Because it's also hard because how are you going to introduce a new Batman and it not be in the shadow of Robert Pattinson if everyone loves Pattinson's interpretation like the most? Like you either have to, like one way or another, someone is going to get put in the shadows. No pun intended for Batman. Also, I think just because of how Robert Pattinson has talked about Batman in interviews, he seems so excited about the character. I think as long as it's well written, I think that there won't be a problem with him. And so I'm excited. I'm intrigued to see what Matt Reeves is gonna do and how much he'll budge and how much he'll be happy with James Gunn. 'Cause like you said, I think if you have creative people behind it, I wouldn't be surprised because I think part of the reason why Matt Reeves was so passionate about making an isolated story is because he saw the past DC stuff. And also, like, originally, I don't know if you guys know, Matt Reeves quit the Batman because the Warner Brothers execs tried to change the movie and the script, and they wanted to do things. And he straight up, like, threatened to quit and left the project for a small amount of time, but then came back because he got a new contract saying he gets the end all be all and it's an isolated story and everything. He's got full creative freedom. So I think if James Gunn like treats him well, I wouldn't be surprised if he's more accepting. So that's just
Definitely.
I'm a huge.
Wasn't the original? Oh, wasn't the original plan that Ben Affleck was supposed to be the Batman in the Batman?
Yes. Yeah. So like
That's exactly.
yeah.
Hmm.
So like the script was like thrown around a bunch too, and Matt Reeves was gonna direct the Ben Affleck one. Like it was gonna be Ben Affleck's, and it was gonna be set in like the '90s, and it was a whole different thing.
That's true.
And like originally, then there was also the Deathstroke one, and the project shifted all over the place. But yeah, so that has evolved a lot. So I think Matt Reeves, if he likes James Gunn and they come to an agreement, I wouldn't be surprised because it's such a clean start and everyone is so excited about the Batman universe. I wouldn't be surprised if they just try to throw some stuff in there. Okay, so the Game Awards just happened. A lot of great stuff was announced. A lot of new trailers. We got some cool award winners. Emmet, why don't you kick us off? What was one of your favorite parts about the show?
Oh,
And you can say Bill
favorite
Clinton
part.
if that was your favorite.
Yeah. I didn't want to get too off the rails, but I mean that's up there for sure. Favorite part is tough. There was a lot of stuff shown. I feel like I'm completely blanking right now, but there was definitely oh my God, Jedi Survivor
Yes.
is by far my most anticipated thing. There was a lot of cool stuff, but Jedi Survivor, I know we'll get into it soon, but I think everything that was shown looks so cool. It doesn't look super different from Fallen Order, but I also don't think it has to. I just think they have to improve upon the gameplay, the story. Like everyone's so attached to these characters now that you can really take them anywhere. And I've got so much hope for the future of this franchise in both games and live action. Not to sketch away from the gaming stuff, but yeah, easily Fallen Survivor or Jedi Survivor.
And like on that point, like I don't know if you guys know about like Destiny and Destiny 2, the games. Like when it first came out, people were complaining that the sequel looked the exact same way, and there was very minimal differences, but it was more polished, it played better, so it may not look super different, but there was noticeable changes, and overall, like Destiny 2 became a better game than the original and stuff like that. So I think just because it looks similar doesn't mean it's gonna be worse. Like I think the people behind it are super excited, and the writing's gonna be good. The combat looks great, the cinematics look great. Like I'm very excited, and like you said, like hopefully we get more stories. I mean, we're getting a in between book releasing in March, like a couple weeks before the game comes out. So here's hoping he comes to live action. I would freaking.
He's got
love
it.
He's got to, right? Yeah. Roman, what about you? Oh no, actually no. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to like diverge to new conversations.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna go back to your point about it, Destiny and Destiny 2. Another game that very recently came out was called a DLC at first because it didn't look different enough. God of War Ragnarok, and it ended up being incredible. So I'm really not worried about it looking similar. Sorry, Roman. Go ahead.
A great comparison.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
No, for me, like, yeah, Jedi Survivor, that looks great. Love that. Going back, we'll talk more about that. But Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That's my most hyped. I know it's been, we've seen trailers and trailers, but seeing that this is Kevin Conroy's last time, he's gonna be Batman. That's insane. That's obviously that puts the game even higher up for me in general.
Yeah. And I love how they did it. They did the classic line of "I'm the Night, I'm Batman," and rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. What an emotional thing. Like, I don't normally get like impacted by like celebrities passing and stuff like that, but Chadwick Boseman and this one, like I remember like being like it didn't hit me at first, and I was watching clips. I'm like, wow, like he's gone. Like that's so sad. Like I don't make this episode super grim or anything, but like. It's sad, but he left such an amazing legacy with the character, and I'm glad we're gonna get one more appearance, and that it was a secret for so long. Like it was such a nice little surprise to have tonight.
And
also,
it's like argue. I don't know if I should go that far, but it's easily one of his most iconic like Batman as
Yeah,
the Arkham video game. A bunch of people think
Mhm.
that's their favorite Batman or best Batman, so
absolutely. I mean, it brought so many
it's really
people. Yeah.
just perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That hit me. That hit.
And on that point, like I'm excited to see because this game is connected to the Arkham universe. So I'm excited to
Mhm.
see, and even we saw like Harley called Batman Bruce, which is a great little nod
Mhm.
just to show that like yeah, everyone knows Batman's Bruce Wayne, but he's still out there committing crime. I mean, not crime, stopping crime. He
And
does
she
commit crime.
referenced the Scarecrow stuff from the end of
Yeah,
what is it? City, was that the third one? The
no,
last
night,
one?
night.
Night
Oh yeah,
tonight.
duh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And how at the end of that he's kind of using like the fear stuff,
yeah.
and she referenced that, which I was surprised about.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
really cool. Like I'm really excited for the game. It looks, I don't. It reminds me a lot of Oh my god, I'm blanking on the game now. I suck with names. It was the Sucker Punch game. Sunset
Sucker
Overdrive, is
Punch.
that Sucker Punch or am I making that up?
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Insomniac, but
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It is Insomniac's game. Oh, Insomniac, thank you. Yeah, but it reminds me of a similar vibe to that, and I love that game. So I'm really excited for this. I think all the characters are cool on the roster. The fact that we're taking down all the Justice League members is cool. And the trailer was so funny. Like the fact that he straight up cut off one of the Flash's like fingers, like casually. Like it was so random and bizarre. I was like, what the heck is happening? But it's hilarious. Um, do we have confirmation? Because I remember, is it co-op? Well, I remember like
It is.
people
It
were upset
is.
about one of the
Mhm.
games possibly not being co-op, but it
I
is.
Yeah, I think that was
Mhm.
Gotham Knights only being two-player co-op
Oh,
that
okay,
people
so
were
that makes
upset about.
sense.
But I think Suicide Squad's four-player co-op,
Perfect.
Mhm.
seamless, so cool.
Maybe the podcast is gonna have to do a recording session when that comes out.
Yo,
Ooh. Let's
true.
go.
That'll be
A
really fun.
little
Um,
off topic, but I'm willing to put $100 down that Peacemaker gets added to that game within the next year.
oh,
Oh,
absolutely, that would
oh,
be for sure. 'Cause
100%.
I would not be surprised if
100%.
there's a bunch of cool DLC characters, and the first one is Peacemaker.
Like,
Yeah.
100%,
Mhm.
right? Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone on that one.
And like
I
I'm
wouldn't
really
be
interested.
surprised. Oh,
No,
sorry to
no, no,
cut you
no.
off,
Go ahead.
but
Go ahead.
I wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised if they actually added him in as a secret because they pushed that game back a whole year.
Yeah.
So I don't know
True.
if they were trying to, they saw like people were like, oh, the Peacemaker show was so successful. And then when they announced the game again, that's when they said, like, yeah, it's not going to come out for another year. And since he's, obviously associated with the Suicide Squad, they could have
That'd
added
be
him in
dope.
already
Yeah.
as like a character because Amanda Waller is telling the Suicide Squad what to do.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see references or even the other members of Suicide Squad show up, like in one or two missions, maybe to like the Flash is the first one they're taking down. But there's no way the four of them are just by themselves gonna take down Wonder Woman. Are you
Green
kidding me?
Lantern.
Superman,
Yeah,
Green
Superman.
Lantern? Hell no, hell no.
And I'm so excited for the different gameplay mechanics with that too. Oh, that game's gonna be so good. I really, I don't want to like get ahead of myself. Like Rocksteady's awesome, and I can't imagine this game being. I can imagine it being bad, but I also can't imagine it being bad. Like I'm sure it's gonna be just a
Yeah,
blast.
100%.
Um,
They made Captain Boomerang a speedster. How can you not like
yeah,
Oh
that?
my
which
gosh.
is
That's
such a
so
fun
cool.
like nod because like there is like a version in the comics who is one like it just shows that they read their stuff and they're passionate about the source material. I
100%.
mean, like you look at the Arkham games, the lore is so thorough, and it also is like a spiritual successor to also Batman the animated series, and how it's the writing in that universe is so good. So yeah, I definitely think this game is gonna be a hit. It is next year, right?
Yeah, May,
Next
this
year.
May.
Oh, it's May.
May.
Yeah,
Awesome.
soon.
Right after graduation, let's go.
That's what I said.
There we go, guys. That's a good gift. Oh, did you guys see that? You know how Deadshot in the Arkham games was white, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They said the creators of the Suicide Squad said that Deadshot was the fake Deadshot, and
Yes.
this is
That's
the
cool.
real one. And that Deadshot actually killed the other Deadshot for
That's
That's
so
cool.
fun. I
impersonating
hope the
him.
game starts out like that, and like they do like those like cliche, like those little like flashback things that introduce the characters. It would be so cool if we saw that. Because
That would
like
be
that
sick.
old the Deadshot in the games like didn't do anything like too impressive ever. Like the Arkham City like fight
Hmm.
wasn't anything special, but like the Arkham Origins was like kind of fun, but like he wasn't super impressive as a Deadshot. So I think it'll be cool to see him in his full-fledged glory in this game. Fallen Order we talked about, or wait, what's that full official title? It's something else.
Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor. I'm gonna mess that up so
Mm-hmm.
much. Jedi Survivor. You guys mentioned Hellboy. Now I gotta be honest. I'm not a big fan of Hellboy. Like nothing's ever drawn me to it. But I know a lot of people are excited about it. Are you guys excited about it? What do you guys think about it?
I think that Hellboy. Okay, Hellboy's a character is kind of a character people don't talk about enough. You know, but David Harbour. You know, he's such a loved actor now. I just saw Violent Night. I think you guys did
I
too.
need to see it. I told my friend
Oh,
next week we're going. Like it looks so good. Is it really good?
it's good.
Oh,
Mhm.
thank
It's
God.
so
It's
good.
really good.
Nice.
But he's so loved. He's so loved now because of Stranger Things, Violent Night. You know, he's in the MCU, and his association with Hellboy is a big reason I think that there's a lot of love for the character now, as compared to he's kind of like one of those people like, oh, who are you going to talk about Hellboy? You know, people really don't care about Hellboy, but putting him back into like the limelight and maybe eventually, I don't know, bringing David Harbour to be Hellboy. Like, I I could totally see them doing it. He's the most perfect casting for that character as well. I don't know how his Marvel contract and DC contract would work, but I think that's a reason why people are excited for Hellboy in general because I can't see another understanding why he would be popular because I don't know much about him other than that.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know much about him either. I was introduced to him through Injustice 2, and then I like watched the David Harbour Hellboy movie, so I don't have the best knowledge. But the game itself just looks really cool. The art style they
Yeah,
went
the art
with
style does look
is
cool.
super cool. The
Yeah.
combat looks fun. Just Hellboy punching and probably has guns or something. Like just the art style is what's really got me excited. I just think it looks so cool, and I'm excited for it.
Some other honorable mentions. Horizon DLC looked good just because Horizon's fun.
Yeah,
Um, what else? Oh, Dead Cells. I'm a big Dead Cells fan, so that looked cool. Like Castlevania and Dead Cells, like doesn't make any sense why they do a crossover, but it's fun. You guys also mentioned that Glass Onion and Among Us is doing a
Oh,
crossover.
yeah,
It's so random,
they
but
have a new game mode.
a new game mode too. Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's called like hide and seek or something, and then
That's
that's when they announced that Benoit Blanc is a new skin as because he's a detective, you know, like.
That's so
so
cool.
good.
Oh my gosh! Like even Among Us memes aside, like that's like so cool. And I love the content. Like the content of the game is so fun. It really like boils down games like Trouble in Terrorist Town and just boils down to the best parts. And it's just a fun game. And we saw like it took over the internet. Um,
Those are good times. Those couple months of just Among Us everywhere.
Mhm.
yeah. Oh my
Good
gosh, it was
times.
crazy. I'm trying to think of anything else that was big that's worth noting.
There was the Mario clip. If we
Oh
want to talk
yeah,
about
Oh,
that
I
too.
can't
oh,
believe I forgot that
yes.
game. It looks so funny. Like
Perfect.
it's hard for me to like laugh sometimes at like movies and like shows. I don't know. I have like a random sense of humor, but like that like when he comes out of the pipe and just falls like flat down, so funny. Like it was in the animation is beautiful and it works so well. And they even include the Easter eggs with like the blowing in the cartridges because I don't know if you guys heard that joke in the clip, but it was just I love how much care they're putting into this. Looks great.
100%. The Easter eggs in this movie are going to be insane. We've gotten two trailers and a clip, and there's like, you could pause any frame and find something to talk about as an Easter egg. Like, the whole movie is going to just have an insane amount of things to talk about. But yeah, it looks so fun. The animation, like, incredible. It's so good. Like, it's just top notch. Hot take. Not hot take, but questionable take, maybe, for some. Chris Pratt's Mario voice, fine. I'm not gonna say it's good,
I don't think it's
but I
good. I
think
don't
it's
think it's
fine.
bad though. I think fine is
It's
Exactly.
very
it's there.
yeah. It's there. Like
100. They could have gone better.
yeah,
It's
I
there.
don't hate it. It's a little distracting at first when you hear him like, cause he sounds normal in some parts and then just sounds like faking an Italian New York accent, and it's like, what are you doing? But like it's not bad. It's like taking me out completely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's how I feel.
Yeah. But like you said, and honestly, I think this might be like the Lego Batman, like where it's just an amazing movie
Oh.
for adults and like people who grew up with Mario, but also great for like younger audiences. Like, I'm actually really, I'm one of those people who I actually get excited about box office numbers. I don't know why, I'm a numbers guy, so I like to see how that goes and predict how things are gonna go. I think the movie's gonna do very well. Like I think because it's gonna
Hmm.
engage so many different audiences. If it turns out well, which I think it will, it could be a big hit. And like we talked about last week, like could start a whole new movie universe. Wouldn't be surprised.
Really.
Yeah. Anything else
Can
for
we
the?
talk about how? Oh,
No, no, no.
can we talk about how good Keegan Michael Key's voice
Oh,
as Toad is?
yes.
Like
So
he's
good.
perfect. He's I don't know how he's doing that, but that's exactly what I expect a Toad to sound like in that universe.
Toad's one of
Oh
my
my
favorite
gosh.
characters. So when like he was in the cast, I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. And then hearing him, perfect. He's funny too. Like it's great.
And I love the character of Toad so far. He's just walking Mario through the town. He knows everybody's name. He's just like, oh hey, walking through, guiding him everywhere, throwing coins. Like he's just the guide of the Mushroom Kingdom. I think it's perfect.
Perfect.
I will say, since we talked about it a little last week or 2 weeks ago, there is another Yoshi Easter egg in this clip.
I didn't even
So
see
we
it.
gotta be getting the regular Yoshi. There,
Mhm.
you just see his head on the coin in one
He
of the,
isn't
but like,
casted or anything. Like, have we
Oh,
heard about
oh,
anything?
mhm.
That's
nothing.
got.
And in
There's
the
got to
last
be
trailer,
a secret casting.
100%. In the last
Mhm.
trailer, we see a bunch of Yoshis, but none of them are green, and it's just like a horde. So
Oh,
Mhm.
I'm still rallying. He's gonna be in it. I'm confident. I need him.
it's got to be someone hilarious too. Like I hope it's just we hear the voice like, oh my god, Blank is playing Yoshi.
I heard
It's
a lot
just
of
all
people.
he says is Yoshi. It's like like King Shark is as Sylvester Stallone, Vin Diesel
I
as
was thinking the same
Groot.
thing. Yeah, like
Who's who's it gonna
they
be?
better pick
Who's
Samuel L.
gonna
some
voice
Jackson.
Yoshi?
super serious dude to just say Yoshi and just like wall
Robert
around.
De Niro.
Robert De
Robert De
Niro. Oh my
Niro is
god, that'd be
Yoshi.
so fucking funny. Also, can we talk about the fact
Marvel,
that Al Pacino showed up? The Game
Yeah,
Awards.
what the heck?
Also, I
crazy.
don't know how
Maybe
much you
he's
guys.
Yoshi.
Oh yeah, well there you go. What is Yoshi? That'd be so. I don't know if you guys know like the Twitter meme of like the. Do you guys know like when they casted not Carmine Falcone. It was I'm forgetting his
Oh
name.
yeah,
You know, the one
I
guy
know
who's
what
like,
you're
oh my
talking
god, it's Al
about.
Pacino.
Yeah.
And like when he showed up at the Game Awards, like my whole Twitter feed was just screenshots of the one guy like tweeting that out. Oh god, some Twitter memes are crack me up. Um, I'm trying to think of anything else super big. Like we just got like a bunch of fun little DLCs. Like nothing else. Let me pull up if there's anything else.
Oh, Fire Emblem has a DLC. I don't know if you guys play that, but the
Oh,
new Fire Emblem,
That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
that's cool.
Um,
From Software announced their new game, and
Armored
it looks
Core.
sick.
oh
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It looks
Hmm.
sick. I know nothing about it, but it just looks cool. And the idea of
Oh,
software.
Transformers game.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, guys,
Yes.
I
okay.
freaking love the Cybertron games. I played them so much in middle school. I'm hyped for a new Transformers game.
It looks cool.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm excited. Also, because I'm scrolling past it, the Dune MMO looks
Do.
cool. I'm
Hmm.
actually really excited because I love the newest movie.
I love the
Um,
idea of a Dune open world
yeah,
MMO. That just sounds so
Hmm.
cool. I'm in.
I just hope it runs well and it comes
Oh
out
yeah.
within the decade. Oh, Death Stranding 2. I mean, I never
Oh
played the
yeah.
first one because I heard it's really long and pretty much walking simulator. I don't want to judge the game or anyone because I really don't know anything about it. Besides that the trailers look crazy. Um, but I know people are excited for that. Um,
How uh how did you guys feel about Elden Ring ultimately winning Game of the Year? Or Roman, did you play both of them? I know Yanni said he
Yeah,
hasn't
I
yeah,
played
I'm
played.
playing
either
them.
of them yet.
I'm playing them this winter break. I'm so excited.
Nice. What did you think? Were you gunning for Elden Ring or God of War or
I I think Elden Ring had a lot going for it, especially with Miyazaki, the name he is. Like he's such a huge influence on the gaming world. George R. R. Martin, who wrote Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, he made the world. He
Yeah.
helped make the world of Elden Ring. So you knew that like just going into Elden Ring and itself, all the lore, all of like the stories of minor characters that you meet. There's each person in Elden Ring, each creature, every area has its own lore. Like that game itself, it has its whole universe and it was made from scratch. Like that's what's impressive about it. This is its like Elden Ring 2 can come out. They could keep doing this like in the Dark Souls universe. Well, God of War is it's impressive, you know. Kratos is a character that's been around for I think decade now. He's been around forever. And obviously Ragnarok was an amazing game. The last game won game of the year already. But Elden Ring being how it came out early this year, the impact it had on Twitter as a whole, you know, YouTube and everything, like it was all over the feeds. Everybody was talking about it on TikTok.
everywhere.
Like
I
it
still
was an
get
impact, I
random
think.
videos about mods and like crazy boss fights. Like,
Exactly. It really was an impactful game, and I think they deserved it. Not just on premise alone, they deserve it, but also, you know, story, gameplay, world building, all of that. They hit every mark. And God of War is impressive, but they really weren't going to touch a lot of the aspects that Elden Ring had. But I will say, I enjoy playing God of War more, but I think the world of Elden Ring's just vast. There's so much you could talk about.
I think
I
cultural
think
impact is a big factor, especially considering like whenever the Oscars come around, people complain that like they don't take the people's voice into a consideration. Like, because like you said, like Elden Ring was everywhere forever, and I still get clips go viral. Like it's crazy, and the fact that it's a From Software game, games that like where the Dark Souls were very niche, or even Bloodborne was like a very niche. That like you had to be like a certain type of gamer to be able to handle like the hours you put into beating a boss like that. The fact that it became so normalized is crazy, and like you said, there's so much world building. Um, and like because God of War, like everyone talks about how amazing the first one was, and even this one I've heard nothing but high praise. But like even then, like it, people kind of stopped talking about it after a little while. So I think that also like shows that I'm glad that the whole cultural impact is a big part. Because I mean, as someone
yeah.
who has actually played the games, so, good news.
I was personally hoping for Ragnarok just because I like that game more overall. But I mean, you have two like titans up against each other. Either way, like everyone wins. You know, we have these two great games coming out in one year, and I think they're so different that it's almost hard. Like you said, Elden Ring is I'd say it's one of, if not the best open world games I've ever played. You always find something. There's nothing guiding you anywhere. You're just on your own finding these crazy characters or crazy items. God of War is a very linear, narrative driven game where you're just so obsessed with these characters and trying to see where their arcs come. And it's hard to compare those two. So I was gunning for Ragnarok, but Elden Ring is an amazing game, and I think it's a lot more innovative than Ragnarok in a lot of ways, and it'll drive gaming forward more than Ragnarok as much as I love it. So I think it's totally fair that it won.
Yeah, I think with Ragnarok 2, like I agree with you, it's much more fun to play. Like I know there's some people out there that like to punish themselves and play in the hardest level possible in Elden Ring and just get your ass beat, you know, over and over and over again. That's not for me. Like I could sit there and say I played Elden Ring, but after a while I was like this like I gave it a really good shot. You know, I really enjoy the world. I really enjoyed the mechanics, but I'm bad. I'm bad at this game. And like you know I could go and play Ragnarok and have a way better time because it's like you said it's that linear storyline that we've seen from a lot of games. They're leading you exactly where you need to go. Like you're not being handheld, but
Mhm.
you know how the game's going to play. You know what's going to happen. Like you know the gameplay. You know it's very similar to the first. And in my opinion, like yeah, like Elden Ring did have, you know, a lot of groundbreaking things for gaming, open world gaming as a whole. But Ragnarok is just like kind of a game you could just not think about and just have fun. And like you said, they're just so different. They're
Yeah.
completely different games.
Well, with that, I think we'll wrap up the podcast because we are going a little overtime. But this was, I think, it was a great discussion. Um, and I think that's it. We can cover all the gaming news, all the DC news. We'll come back next week. We'll probably know more about the DC universe, and who knows what else will be in store. If there's nothing, next week our podcast will be the our MCU Phase 4 ranking. That's gonna be our in the chamber for whenever there's a slow week. Like, whenever there's a slow week, we're just gonna finally do that one. But the past 3 weeks have all been like either a project or a lot of news. So, but thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, we'll be back again next week. As always, I'm Yanni from Yanni's Nerdverse. You can find me there anywhere. You guys?
I'm Emmet from isuperebba. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it.
And I'm Roman from Roman's Empire. Find me everywhere. Thanks so much, guys.
And also, if anyone has any ideas in the comments on what the heck to call this podcast, that'd be greatly appreciated. Now that I'm out of school and Emmett's almost out of school, hopefully we can all brainstorm and have a dedicated page, because we want to put this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everywhere. It makes it a very official podcast, so be on the lookout for when that's moving out. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next week. Take care.